isn't measured in promises. It's measured in results. At Rockwell Automation, our 24,000 employees across the globe focus every day on delivering business results for our customers. Because with every result achieved, we realize the promise of expanding human possibilities. That's why we're Rockwell. Our customers make products and deliver solutions that touch all of our lives. And they partner with us to realize measurable, consistent, and profitable business outcomes, delivering the real results they and their customers depend on. The people of Rockwell and our vast production technology portfolio make a real difference in industrial production quality, speed, and efficiency, making a difference in ramping up adequate supplies of life-saving vaccines, making a difference by helping deliver vehicles that are affordable, efficient, and safe, making a difference by engineering sustainability into every system and solution we deliver. Because at Rockwell, we believe better is possible. And the results we deliver add value for our customers every day, in every industry we serve. Our systems connect your company end to end with data-fueled insights, improving the decisions that deliver results and expanding human possibilities. Rockwell Automation. Results achieved.
Hi, I'm Juliana Ackerbloom, and I'm your host for today's live stream. And today we're here to talk about the RSA conference that just took place at the end of April at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. And here with me today is Amit Hyman, consultant for networks and cybersecurity here at Rockwell. Thanks, Amit, for joining me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Now, before we get started, we have a question for our viewers. What did you find most interesting about RSA Conference 2023, and what topics do you want to see presented at next year's event? Feel free to leave your thoughts and answers in the comments. Rockwell made their debut as an exhibitor and presenter at this year's RSA Conference, and Amit and Diane Golden presented on securing the OT environment. Amit, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a well-attended talk. We had, the talk was around defense in-depth architecture and leveraging multiple layers of defense, starting with the device and then the compute surface and the network and building up to access control list and an OT intrusion detection solution, patch management, and then following up, on the very top with, policies and procedures. There's a physical aspect there as well. But it was very well received. We had a lot of great questions and feedback, and I had some specific questions afterwards around, patch management, and I've seen that as a big topic as customers are trying to understand how they can protect their systems out there, and that's just one of the methods they can implement. But very good talk, good feedback from the participants that were there.
Great. Well, it sounds like a very valuable session and just an important event altogether. So as you walked around the show floor at the Moscone Center, there's a lot of vendors who are focused on securing the IT environment, but at Rockwell, we're focused on OT security. From your perspective, what is the difference between securing the IT environment and the OT environment?
Yeah, I think that one of the challenges on the OT side is if you look at a variety of the majority of manufacturing facilities out there, they have grown over the years, different systems, legacy networks. Oftentimes when systems get put in, unfortunately, they don't get touched and they're essentially frozen kind of in state. So that's, and then we're dealing with, physical implications and sometimes, safety tied to that. Where we don't see that in the IT side. So there's a lot of things that we can, leverage on the IT side as part of a holistic cybersecurity strategy. But that's the biggest difference is just the age of the systems, the proprietary protocols, and the fact that we're dealing with physical systems out there that have a safety aspect.
Yeah, hearing you talk about the unique expertise that Rockwell brings to the table and the importance of taking a proactive approach to cybersecurity, but covering like the whole attack process versus just parts is very interesting.
Yes.
So, based on your observations from the show floor, where do companies stand? How far along are they in their journey? Are some sectors or regions farther along than others?
Yeah, I think certainly the critical infrastructure, those that are classified as critical infrastructure are probably further along because of, some regulations and, depending on the type of critical infrastructure, those, like gas branch transportation, probably more advanced, or you look into, the NERC, FERC requirements, they are very prescriptive on what must be done for the power generation and nuclear phase or nuclear industry. But the I would say the majority are still early on that journey. People are starting to realize that yes, we need to segment our networks. We need to have the ability to monitor our networks. But I would say pretty early on in that journey for a majority of customers.
Yeah, and even though they are early on, I think manufacturers are seeing that they need to be thinking about security just as much as any other part of their
Absolutely.
business. So, years ago, oil and gas and electric seemed to be the sectors that had the highest cyber risk and therefore have traditionally focused on strong cybersecurity programs. Rockwell is providing proactive security services to its customers. And so I'm curious, have you seen a shift in which sectors are most focused on cybersecurity these days? And what kinds of services are they most interested in from Rockwell?
Yeah, so I've seen customers really, struggling with where to even start. Oftentimes, they don't have that visibility. So it's grown from the critical infrastructure, and the customers are looking for that holistic cybersecurity program, and how do we and looking for help and assistance on how to go about with that, building up a program that follows standards like and guidelines like NIST or 62443. And so that's where Rockwell, can help with customers in that space, and we see that need. I see that need growing, especially with the proliferation of ransomware in that OT space. Because of the unpatched OT systems out there, because of the lack of segmentation, the lack of demarcation between IT and OT, like the IDMZ, that industrial demilitarized zone. Customers that don't have that in place, we're starting to see many of those customers get attacked by ransomware, and unfortunately, sometimes that's in that industry that becomes the eye opener as far as what needs to they need to actually take some action.
Right, right. And so now companies often are so intimidated by the complexity in securing their OT environment that they don't know where to start. At this year's event, you and Diane Golden delivered a session that enabled traditional IT security people to get started securing their OT systems. So can you share with us where companies can start?
Yeah, we started with that basic premise of in following the NIST cybersecurity framework of identifying those assets. You can't protect what you can't see, so it started off with asset identification and really understanding not only the assets specifically not stopping the compute assets, but getting down to the IO cards, the drives, all the other automation devices that are out there, and there's that vulnerability that's associated with that we typically oftentimes focus on, that CVSS, the scoring system, but oftentimes people forget about the longevity status, right? If that becomes a vulnerability, if I can no longer get that product. And because of the age of the industrial control systems out there, because they've grown over the years, oftentimes that basic inventory people don't have. So that's where we start from, and then we build upon from that, addressing, going through a risk evaluation. That's where, we've helped our customers is help me evaluate our risk and where do I start? And I think a lot of customers are overwhelmed with that process. And so they're turning more and more to companies like Rockwell Automation, where we can help them in that journey.
Interesting. And, we all have to start somewhere. So being prepared and having a plan in place is paramount. Why is ICS network monitoring so important? And how do you recommend companies get started, especially considering the shortage of OT security experts? How do they actually implement monitoring?
Yeah, so monitoring can be done in a variety of ways. You want to use an OT specific intrusion detection solution for that because of the variability in the industrial control systems out there. The having a system that's designed for OT that understands what those OT protocols are is key for building that kind of the baseline and level set of understanding. Here's our normal activity. Then we can alert based upon deviations from that. So having a company that understands where do we need to have a combination of maybe some protocol specific active scans to be able to bridge through a Logix chassis and out another Ethernet card to see maybe devices on DeviceNet, which is a non-TCP/IP based network, or ControlNet or Ethernet, and building that up into that overall inventory and understanding what is normal activity is key in that space. So that, we've seen a huge acceleration with customers looking for assistance in deploying an OT IDS solution, and that's what Rockwell Automation has been doing and helping our customers with.
Yeah, great. And so based on your conversations at the RSA conference, what do you think the biggest thing CISOs are overlooking in securing their OT environments?
I would say it goes back to that the age of the systems out there and understanding the criticality that some of those systems have in their overall operation. So that's where that overall kind of risk eval comes into play, where we can go through a methodical evaluation of the processes and procedures, their patch management strategy, the age of the equipment, and providing that overall risk so they can understand where do we need to focus in on and how do we mitigate that, and deploy that defense in depth strategy. So probably that a true understanding of what's out there and its overall risk to the overall operation.
Yeah, and we know that it's very true that minutes matter and seconds count. So it's been so great chatting with you, and thank you all for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit the link in this post.